Introducing the Sailrite Deluxe Edge Hotknife package. This package comes with a lot of accessories, including the corded Edge Hotknife. We're going to show you how it works and all the accessories that come with it, including the tempered cutting glass. This package comes with 4 different types of cutting feet. First, we're going to reverse the screws out slightly so that we can insert our cutting foot. This is the R blade. It is the most popular blade. That's why we're starting with it. It's not my favorite. I'll show you my favorite in a second. All we want to do is insert the blade in those holes and then tighten down these 2 set screws with the included Allen key. This R blade is the canvas worker's most go-to blade. However, that'll change now that Sailrite invented the precision cutting blade and foot. This is the one I leave on my Edge Hotknife all the time because it's just better. I only replace it when I need a different blade for a different task. Typically, the precision cutting blade and foot is sold separately, but in this kit, it is included. We'll be showing more details later on. To show you how fast it heats up, I'm holding on to the blade to prove that it's cool. You can see here as soon as I press the trigger, the light turned green, and we're ready to cut within a few seconds. This is Sattler marine grade fabric. This seals the edge of the synthetic fabric and keeps it from unraveling. If you cut it with scissors, as I'll do next, and pull on the edge, it will unravel rather easily, and over time it gets worse. So using a hot knife for a synthetic fabric like Sunbrella or Sattler marine grade fabric is rather important. If you make bags or even flags out of nylon fabric, it unravels like crazy, even though it's not really unraveling much here at all, but over time it just falls apart. Use the Sailrite Edge Hotknife with the R blade or the precision cutting blade and foot, which we'll show later on, and your edge will no longer easily unravel as it's sealed with that hot heat. Nice. You also notice that we're cutting on top of the tempered cutting glass. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit. This is a vinyl mesh fabric called Fibertex Plus. It does not unravel, but the fibers that have been embedded with the vinyl do sometimes stick out. If, after cutting with scissors or a rotary cutter, you run the R blade up against the edge of the fabric, that will prevent the fibers from coming out and also remove the fibers that do stick out. So it's perfect for roller shades and such. The R blade also works great for cutting ropes. Here we've got a 1/2-inch braided rope, double braided rope, and we've put tape on the end, and then we cut very close to the tape or through the tape with the R blade. The blade was cool and only takes a few seconds to heat up and about a minute to cool down, and now your rope will not unravel. For 3-strand rope as well as braided rope. Beautiful. And the R blade is also great for webbing. Here's a piece of webbing cut with scissors. It'll unravel quickly. If you touch the edge with the R blade, it will no longer unravel. You can also use the tempered cutting glass and cut webbing to specific lengths. We'll cut it to 7 inches here. Using the tempered cutting glass with the measurements all the way up to 27 inches for applications like this makes this job a breeze. Using the tempered cutting glass on the bottom also distributes all of the heat from the blade to the application, whether it be webbing or fabric or anything else, even rope. So if you use a metal ruler underneath to prevent damage to the tabletop, that heat is transferred into the metal and reduces the cutting ability. Let's now demonstrate the F blade that's included with this package. We're going to mount that in the Edge Hotknife and tighten down those screws just like we did with the R blade. This blade is a little bit wider than 2 1/4 inches, so if you have 2-inch webbing or even smaller webbings, you can make the job of cutting webbing quickly with this extra wide F blade. It's also great for huge ropes like this one. Now, it does take a long time to cut through a rope like this, but it does a phenomenal job. It just takes a little bit of patience. After it's cut through, because the blade is so wide, the heated end of the rope looks beautiful. Watch, we're not going to speed this up. Take a look at the end of that rope. It is sealed exceptionally well and looks beautiful after we remove the tape. Nice. Now to my favorite blade, the precision cutting blade and foot. This is the one I said I leave on my Edge Hotknife almost all the time because I use it for almost everything. I don't have to worry about the surface underneath being damaged by the hot knife. So we install it just like we do the R blade, but the cutting foot is installed in slightly a different way. It'll come with 2 screws. You only need 1, and we'll insert the Allen key into that screw head, and then we'll thread it to about 5 full revolutions. Now what I typically do is I turn the hot knife on its back as seen here, and that way I can insert the cutting foot and adjust it accordingly. Your goal is to position the cutting blade's point through the center hole of the foot, and then to lock that set screw in place, but you don't want the blade to stick out of the bottom. So lift the foot, the screw will be very close to the end, which is customary. Tighten it down hard once that blade is not protruding through the bottom. You can center it by moving the foot, not the blade. The blade will be in hard, but the foot can move left or right. And I know it may seem like, oh, it's going to move while you're working with the tool, but it doesn't. So this is the optimal position for the best cutting. Just like this. It's centered and it's not protruding through the bottom. Not only are we protecting the tabletop surface, there's nothing underneath this, it's just a wood surface, we can make really precise cuts. Here we're just cutting some Sunbrella upholstery fabric for a cushion. No longer will you have edges that fray inside of your cushion if you use a hot knife like this. Nice sealed edge. Here we're cutting Sattler marine grade fabric, and you can see with the precision cutting foot and blade why we call it precision. You can make very tight radius cuts and curves with it because the back portion of the cutting foot is rather small, so the fabric doesn't get stuck on it very easily. And remember, you don't have to worry about the surface underneath your fabric assembly. Nice. You will see me using this hot knife with the precision cutting blade and foot in almost all of my videos, and there's a reason for it. I'm so confident that I can even cut on top of this upholstery fabric without having to worry about ruining the fabric underneath. Sweet. We can also use it to insert twist lock eyelets. Here I've marked the 4 prongs in this webbing. To make slits, we remove the foot from the blade, and we'll use this very sharp blade to make the slits for the 4 prongs of the twist lock eyelet. So you don't necessarily have to have a twist lock eyelet hole cutter. You could use the precision cutting blade and foot with the foot removed and insert this eyelet. Push the prongs of the eyelet through the slits you just made with a hot knife, insert the back washer, whether it be oversized or standard, and now you can use that same sharp blade to cut out the center of your fabric, or in this case, webbing application. If you've ever used an HSO blade, this is the replacement for it. This package doesn't include the HSO blade because this one, in my opinion, works better. The final accessory is the cutting foot, which is accommodated or used with the R blade. So we're going to insert one of the 2 screws in that bottom hole just like we did for the precision cutting blade and foot, and we will install this foot over top of the R blade with the Edge Hotknife upside down like this. Tighten it down hard. Make sure the blade does not protrude through the bottom of this cutting foot, and you also want a scissor-like action or look. The blade should not go through all the way, only the tail end, and you need some passageway for the fabric to pass by that golden colored bar. If the golden colored bar is down on top of the foot, the fabric will not easily be able to pass by, and make sure it's centered. You can move the foot but not the blade left or right. So this is about optimal, and as you can see right here, there's enough room for the fabric to pass. Okay, this foot is not as good for making turns or curves, and sometimes the fabric gets stuck on the back edge because it's rather large. It does work. However, the precision cutting blade and foot is much better in my opinion. So you can see here we're trying to cut a curve, and the back edge that holds that foot in place is coming in contact with the fabric as we turn the hot knife. So it's not an exceptional foot for that. Here it works better for straightaways, but even that is not as good as the precision cutting blade and foot that we showed earlier. So as you can see, it's an open and shut case. The Sailrite Deluxe Edge Hotknife package is a must for anyone cutting synthetics like fabrics, ropes, webbings, and more. I'm Eric Grant from everybody here at Sailrite. Thanks for watching.